I'm looking for an individual is one, their critical thinking skills, their ability to be out and figure out the problem solve, ask those right questions. A lot of this was discussed here earlier in our table. But also, if you want to add percentages to it, you want to quantify this, I guess I'll go ahead and do it. I'd say it's about 40% analyst, so an analyst at heart. Again, that comes with that critical thinking skills, the ability to ask questions, the curiosity, all that comes with being analytical in nature. I think second most important, and probably very similar in ratio, is also being a brand strategist. So understanding what is your brand trying to do, what are you trying to solve, what are you trying to accomplish, who are you trying to talk to, and how you're trying to do it. Having that brand strategy mindset is very important, because that will take the insights that you develop as an analyst and turn those things into actionable recommendations. The other, 10%, 10 here, 10% researcher. Again, the ability to formulate a hypothesis, figure out what you want to go out and test, what do you want to solve for, what's the objective of this. So again, keeping that research mentality in mind. Communication is also very key in this area. So again, asking the right questions, being able to communicate your findings and results. And I guess the last 10% would probably be psychologist, sociologist, or anthropologist. Understanding human behavior. What we're seeing and what we're seeing in terms of a dashboard, what we're seeing people talking about, how we're seeing perceptions shift online, in person, through surveys, primary, secondary research. Understand the behavioral mindset and how these audiences are shifting and evolving over time.
There's a lot of data out there, and there's a lot of tools. This space continues to evolve, and I don't think that's going to change, but some of the fundamentals that we're talking about today around measurement and driving into insight, that's not going away. So while some of this can be a shiny object around some of the tools, and there's just a lot of data out there, that's not going to go away. So we really need to kind of continue to harness and focus in on what the objectives are first, and then from there think about what kind of data we need. We're seeing them pop up in conversations. We also want to establish some relationships with them. So it's really a blend of traditional and new influencers, and our communicators are out there doing that today. And how can we quantify that, and what does that mean for the brand? So there's also that ripple effect where you might share something and it sparks someone to actually write a story or follow up with you. We see that a lot, right? Because we're building these relationships, we're having conversations with people in social on behalf of the brand. And then of course there's other content opportunities, whether it's time on site with video, or time on site or video completion. There's a lot more data. There's a lot of data out there, but I think what is important about all of this data is, okay, what objective are we trying? You need to have a North Star when you're thinking about analytics. What is our objective? And then let's talk about the metrics to get us there, and then let's also make sure that at the end of the day, what an impression is to me is the same as the person in the next business line over, or our marketing counterparts. We need to have some standardization of what it means when we say an impression or an engagement, because otherwise we're talking different languages and it's really hard to tell that story.
The idea that people can come down here and that we're free to share this data that we're collecting so that the business can see the numbers, the business can understand how this can influence their programs and the ways in which we can support them. So quick show of hands to anyone belong to an organization or have an organization that has any sort of conversation suite or social media command center in place. Conversation suite became a bit of a central spot where people would hang out. Yes, there is also a cafe next to it, so I can't claim that the conversation suite is the only thing that drives people to this area. But really, like I said before, it's something where we've now brought the business down. People are coming, they see this, they want to know more about it, they want to know what we're tracking, they want to see the conversations taking place that are specific to their business lines. We don't have as many business lines as maybe Wells and Zara pointed out, but we do have a very diverse business in running a payment network. And I think the other thing that was really nice about this is that it also put us top and front and center for C-suite. The conversation suite we have this, and the information that's provided on it is via desktop, and all of our executives have it via a mobile app. So our CEO has this, so our CEO can wake up in the morning and take a look at any of the information that's coming through and really drill down into the specifics of our business and the priorities of our business, to then see how we're executing against our competitors, and then drill down even further to then see what's driving some of the numbers that we've got in place. Into action across the regions with specific reporters, with journalists, with influencers, etc. The other great thing about this, getting back to the idea of making sure that your metrics tie back to the business, is that the insights that we found based on our research were able to then inform marketing programs, product direction, and really then for the C-suite, really make them aware of what we were doing from the communications perspective and how we could in fact impact the business. So whereas we had great, PR results, I think the most important result of everything is just the fact that we were able to drive the business and really move things forward. And anecdotally, at the same time when we were doing this, there was a different group in MasterCard that was doing a more traditional study that cost them probably 15x, and they ended up with the same sort of measurements that we had based on our social analysis. The interesting thing you can do is if you look at this, the bullets are coded by what we would identify again as sentiment, and I know that the sentiment can have some human error into it. But what this does is also allow us to hyper-target some of what we're doing from a communications perspective, and then again inform the business. So for example, if we saw a cluster of conversation happening in New York City, we can then drill down and click on any one of these bullets to then see what that tweet was, and then see if there's any correlation to other tweets happening in that market. So then, for example, if we find out there's a problem at Toys R Us with the use of MasterCards, we're then able to then send that information in real time to our business saying, hey, account manager for Toys R Us, you maybe want to call and find out what's happening on that side of things. Communications and supported our digital efforts, and how he has been stacking up and ranking against the CEOs of Visa, PayPal, Amex, etc.
This is the then what? This is then saying, okay, now that we've delivered you an insight, here's how we are going to activate that across paid, earned, shared, and owned media, and content is that focal point that spreads across those media channels. We have, and I'm not gonna give you like the secret sauce, so don't take notes, Logan, because you're a competitor now. We did a little bit of this too at Edelman. I know you guys do it as well, but we have kind of 4 different areas where we look at to help them understand what a particular audience is saying, and also what their interest and passion points are. One is what we call social graphics, and it's basically looking at an audience, and that audience can be a sample of millennials, it could be IT decision makers, it could be healthcare professionals or nurses, and pulling them into we create custom panels or custom search engines in a way. It's almost like anybody use Cision or Radiance or Sysmos. You know how you log in and you do a search query and it gives you all the data? It's the same concept, but we're only pulling data from that specific audience. A variety of different tools to execute and activate across paid, earned, shared, and owned. And thank you again.